Welcome to Executive Insights. I'm Nasheen Liu, partner with the IT Media Group, a CIO-centric media company. Today, I welcome back Peter Singh, Executive Officer, IT Services with Toronto District School Board. We explore how TDSB is fostering a culture of continuous learning for students, educators, technologists, and leaders. Peter shares practical ideas and examples that you too can implement. Stay tuned. Hi, Peter. It's great to see you and welcome back to Executive Insights.
Well, thank you for having me again. And I enjoyed the last interaction we had. So looking forward to this one again.
Peter, so since we talked last time, I think having you on this platform was almost 3 years ago. The technology landscape is rapidly evolving. And obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic was in many ways a catalyst for change. And it actually accelerated not just the implementation, but also the adoption of digital technologies. For your industry in particular, it has really transformed the way people look at how education and teaching and learning is delivered. So now, a few years later, as the largest school board in Canada, how does TDSB continue to foster the modern learning environment to ensure the skills and competencies to succeed?
No, thank you for the question. It's amazing how these 3 or 2.5 years have flown by since the pandemic and how much work we undertook and delivered on it. It's been a multi-pronged strategy on our side on this front. To support a modern learning environment, you have to really have a rock-solid back-end modern infrastructure in place. So we've been heavily focused on to make sure high-speed internet connectivity to all our physical buildings is in place in the form of modern SD-WAN infrastructure, modern wall-to-wall Wi-Fi 6 infrastructure, to make sure every device that walks through our doors has a rock solid connection again to access internet services on our side. Another piece we undertook was around how do we close the digital divide across the entire district itself. So we did initiate a program called Student Device Access, which means every learner walking into grade 5 and 9 receives a brand new Chromebook from us, and it's theirs for 4 years to make sure we close the gaps. And we also learned during pandemic that some of the families don't have internet access at home. So we worked with a local telco to actually provide a really reasonable rate or speed internet access to those families also. And we cover the cost internally to support those families across the district itself. So those has been some of the key pieces we've been working on it. On the flip side, we've been very open over the years to make sure students have access to the social media apps also in the platforms. And now AI is such a big thing. We wanted to make sure we do not lock up anything. We want to make sure all teachers and students have access to all the AI tools they need to play. And these are all the AI tools in public domain I'm talking about. So that has been the core work since pandemic to make sure we have a rich learning environment in place for our students.
Those are great points. Having a secure, scalable, and robust infrastructure to support learning as well as to ensure that there's digital equity and addressing the whole social media sphere, especially related to the transformation that AI has brought on. So on the other side, I think from an educator's perspective, change is to a large degree innately uncomfortable to many people. And as the disruption is happening in such a fast and furious pace, how do you continue to support and empower the educators to continue to innovate? Well, first of all, to continue to adapt the modern approach, but also continue to innovate in their approach to teaching?
For me, it's all about how do you shift the pedagogy, or how do you actually now work with teachers across the entire district to bring change. And building capacity is a core to that piece itself. And for us, how do we help 16,000 full-time teachers, 9,000 occasional teachers, literally a core group of 25,000 teachers who actually need to be delivering that curriculum expectations on a daily basis? And in one of the discussions with Michael Fullen, this key piece came up that to actually bring a change to such a big team, you need to put together a small, decent sized team to have influence and impact on those individuals. So we started a program almost 10 years ago. You can talk and call them tech savvy teachers. We call internally digital lead learners. So these are the individuals who put their hand up saying, you know what, I want to help. And we invest in them for the first year to build their own practice. And starting second year, they actually start to facilitate, I will call workshops or key pieces within their own school or network of schools. By third year, they're actually presenting their pedagogy across the district itself too. So that program has really helped. And over the years, we have close to now 600 individuals who have gone through this program. And they're really making a huge impact on each and every classroom in the school district. Along with this program, we also made sure that we celebrate this pedagogy shift or learning and create the peer-to-peer network. So in the past, we used to host Google Camps on a Saturday. Now those Google Camps have translated into tech camps to make sure all technologies are covered. At the same time, on an annual basis, we have our own internal conference called Unleashing Learning. It normally happens in April, which is again a day to connect teachers with teachers across all schools and also provide a safe space for teachers to show their own pedagogy in a marketplace concept itself too. So these are the things we have done over the years to really build capacity across the system. And when the administrators saw the success on the classroom side, even the principal and the vice principals group reached out to me saying, Peter, you need to do the same thing, something for the administrators. We actually launched a similar kind of program a few years back called Digital Lead Administrators. Again, the focus there is on leadership. How do you build next generation of leadership that understands modern learning spaces and what kind of data they need to analyze, forecast, and what are the key skills they need to have in place? So we actually partner with Apple's team to help us to facilitate those learnings for our principal and vice principals across the district too. So that has been our strategy to really build capacity and make a shift in each and every classroom across the district.
That's amazing. I think you're absolutely right. Success breeds success, and success is also contagious. And sometimes all we need to do is get started and not to be overwhelmed by the enormity of change, but really start small by identifying the champions, those early adopters, and start from there and really promote the sharing of successes. You mentioned about sharing of best practices. And I think having a culture of collaboration and continuous learning is so crucial for the development of not just our educators and stakeholders, but also the technologists of today and tomorrow. Can you speak to what do you do to instill that mindset within your technology organization? And also, the second part of the question is, since this season we focused on the theme of developing the next generation of leadership, and I'd be really interested in exploring the topic of what sort of strategies have you implemented to develop the next generation of technology leaders?
I think being a teaching and learning vertical, I believe learning should be at the forefront of everything we do. So it's a very important piece. And it starts at multi levels itself too. And I'll share some examples. What I mean by that is I personally facilitate learning sessions with all my senior managers and managers on monthly basis. So it's literally in spending 45 minutes to an hour every month. We pick a key topic and go really deep on it. So that brings a lot of wonderful ideas to the forefront. And you also learn to understand other people's perspective on the same problem, same topic. So, and also we co-learn at the same time when we're having these deeper discussions. And at the same time, if I see another team who's been doing wonderful work, and I do ask them to facilitate their work and showcase some of their best practices to other teams. I literally have 19 teams that report directly into my portfolio. So there's a good group and decent group of managers and coordinators and who can actually do this kind of work for me. So I've been actually leveraging that too as part of my practice. And on top of that, when I bring the entire leadership, which includes senior managers, and supervisory staff together, at least twice a year, we spend at least a day, which is baked around co-created agendas and topics. We wanted to build and do that one. It's again after COVID. I really loved the in-person uh, PD times. People really appreciated that human connections have started to come back. So it's been really enjoyable, and I started to see chemistry across multiple org units within my own team after those days of PD. Another thing I do is um, continuously on daily basis, I do share my own learning in the form of an email, which could be a link going to the staff members every morning, an article I found, something I found was good for my own personal well-being or mental health. I continue to share that on daily basis itself. And the team has been providing me feedback. They really find that very useful because I literally curate that material. I believe if I'm going to send something to my team, it should not be more than 2 to 5 minutes of read. It should be quick. It should be very relevant. Otherwise, I don't want to fill their mailbox just for junk that this is a good thing to go and reach out to. So it's been very intentional. Another concept I launched a few years back, I call it Power of One. It has a lot of things connected to doing one thing at a time. But for today's discussion, I wanted to share that I believe the one-to-one discussions are extremely important. Along with your other department meetings and when group meetings, you need to spend time with your direct reports. You're with your manager, supervisor. So on monthly basis, I'm heavy on one-on-one discussions with those individuals. It's not about micromanaging, it's all about agenda-free discussions. You get to learn a lot about individual and their practices. At the same time, you're also able to influence their practice by sharing some good ideas, the things that have worked for you in the past, and trying to help them to get through the sticky situation they might be in. And I extend that one-on-ones beyond my leadership itself. On 6 week cycle, I open up my calendar for 4 hours. Anyone can book actually 30 minutes with me, and we sit down and just have a agenda-free discussions again. And these discussions have been very powerful. I've found over time, some of these have helped me to kill the fires before they started. Some of them has helped me to actually launch initiative and projects in my team, which are very much focused on the human side uh, of our overall department, not just the technology piece of itself too. So I find having those one-on-one connections have really, really helped. And this is how I've been able to foster a culture of, I will call, shared leadership also. And to me, over the years, I've been able to build quite a good or decent succession plans across all areas in my own teams also. And these things all started with those one-on-one discussions. I know one individual has met me over 35 times now since this program started. And I have seen this individual grow. This person started in our organization and now where they are itself too. And this person has really benefited from that program itself too. These are one of the many successes I saw part of that 101 program.
There's so much good stuff in there. First of all, I love those learning sessions that you've implemented across, not just within your technology team, but across your organization. And doing what you do with informal sharing as well, those sound bites via email or other channels that are very compact and doesn't take a lot of time for people to consume. That's a really great idea. And, a one-on-one conversation is always the best, whether it be with your management team or with your peers and direct reports and on the topic of developing the next gen of leaders. And I think sometimes we think about these really formal type of programs, but all really it takes is some thoughtful ideas, but to put it into action. And it could be as simple as just to get started with sending out an email, with inviting someone to have a one-on-one conversation, and then implementing those learning sessions across your organization is very helpful to not just, fostering that culture of collaboration and learning across your teams and organizations, but also providing opportunities for the development of the next gen talent. I really applaud you for doing all the great work, Peter. Based on our conversations prior, that really having that culture of collaboration that extends beyond the walls of our organization. And you're a huge component in promoting that sharing of best practices, not just within your industry, but also across industries. And I'm personally a beneficiary of that recently, and having had the opportunity of coming in to a school board CIO forum and to have the opportunity to share my learnings as well. So my question is, how do you integrate those external perspectives and knowledge into your learning process and to enrich what you have internally?
You have experienced something I do regularly, and that goes back to a number of years. I've been heavily engaged in CIO tables in the GTA, and I have personally benefited from listening into other executives who have done amazing things within their own organizations, and also bringing that learning back to my own team, and also continue to tinker with my own practice. If something has been running well in other organizations, why not learn and bring it back to your own practice so your own team and your own practice can get better at it? I just walk into those tables with an open mindset as a student, one who wants to continue to learn and grow itself. So that mindset has always helped me. Then I also consult a lot with the research environments that are provided by Gartner or Infotech Research. Those are the two organizations we work closely with also. And talking to subject matter experts and those analysts for key specific topics also helps me to actually bring that knowledge back. And a lot of times I actually call in, bring in my team members into those discussions to learn and grow and explore what else is possible. Because there's not always one way of solving a problem. You have to look at multiple ways of addressing and dealing with it itself too. And the other piece I love doing is my reading practice. I love to read, and it doesn't matter it's the books or articles online and things like that one. I'm still a big fan of having a book physically in my hand. That's just me, a little bit of an old school uh, itself, but that also helps me to understand and learn what others have done around the world. And those books have a lot of wisdom in it. So you tap into it. Not everything you learn in those environments can be implemented overnight, but there's always gold nuggets in these things, which you start to connect with your own practice. So I have leveraged that side of things too to really, really help. And within own education sector, I've been able to work along with some amazing CIOs who are also very open for collaborating and learning itself too. So we've been able to set up a few tables and learning opportunities across the K to 12 in Ontario, and we all benefit from that one too. And thank you for you joining us last month in one of our discussions, and that was really, really impactful, and everyone actually enjoyed that particular session you presented to this table.
Well, thank you so much, Peter. Once again, I really appreciated the opportunity. So, as we're almost wrapping up this conversation, I recall you and I, we've known each other for a great number of years, and you brought up many a time how passionate you are about people first leadership. And that is your leadership philosophy. And I would love to explore this topic a little bit. And how does this people first philosophy contribute to your fostering this culture of innovation and meaningful connections within your organization?
This is again very dear to me because that's where my heart is as part of my work. And I believe that strong human connections, or you can call networking, is a key in my mind for today's leadership. So you have to be focused on it. And leaders are always focused on creating the right conditions for their teams to succeed. And that's a kind of the fundamental principle in my head when I look at these things. So I look at every layer, either it's to deal or work with stakeholders. How do I actually create those tables and in the form of steering committees, or just having discussions on a regular monthly basis, bi-weekly basis with those stakeholders. So I just like to create those tables and platforms so people can actually share their wisdom and also provide feedback and critique something is not working well. That to me is a huge, huge impact on my team, my practice when we're listening into our stakeholders, because listening is another very important part of practice. If you're not listening, then you're not paying attention to your clients or stakeholders. And if you're not doing that one, how are you going to serve them? How do you know what pain points they're experiencing? So that's extremely important. The other piece is also around some of the programs we run internally, and which is built around service excellence. And I'm being a champion of that particular program within TDSB as an organization because we were at the forefront of it. All the 19 teams have really actively participated and benefited from that program, which have raised service levels from wherever we were to the next 2 or 3 levels. If you started at one, you're at level 4 after 2 or 3 years within our own organizations. So these have really, really been impactful in our practice at TDSB. Another thing I really love to focus on is a happy workplace. The concept looks very simple. How do you make a workplace happy? If you look at it, why people leave a workplace, they don't leave the work or the job. They leave the people they're working with or the manager they were working with it. That's why people quit. So after pandemic, this one was actually even more, I will say, key factor for us to really go deeper on it. How can we hold on to the talent? What are the other things we needed to do? So some of the things we were already doing it in the past, we just amplified those ones. Simply starting fun Fridays for all teams, people who love reading and starting a book club for them. And I also started a program a number of years back around mentoring, which was a year long. So we killed that year long program, turned into more of a micro mentoring, which is now 4 to 6 months and continue to repeat on a regular basis. So the young folks who are coming into the organization, they are actually connected with the experienced individuals so they can continue to grow in our organization itself too. And I was very intentful on creating a very lively and active social committee, and which has been doing number of activities on a regular basis. So part of that work is also I've told them let's not ever miss an opportunity to celebrate. So when I tell people that we actually have a lot of fun on Halloween, people laugh. What do you do as adults on Halloween? Believe it or not, adults love dressing up on Halloween and coming into workplace. So we, across all 19 teams, have amazing days uh, like Halloween, or it's a family day coming in. Uh, every holiday gets celebrated at TDSB within my own team to the nth degree. And we wanted to make sure people are not just seeing that happening at their personal life at home front, even in the workplace, they started to see those similar connections also. Another piece is on a regular basis or annual basis, we bring everyone together for a day You can call it a full day of PD/barbecue/picnic in a way. I wanted to make sure every individual is able to see everyone. I have a decent size of team, around 325 individuals. And now, how do you make sure everyone knows everyone? Over emails, yes, you can connect with each other, but being right next to each other in person actually helps to build the relationships differently. So that has been intentional. Every year I do that. Also, once we have wrapped up the school year, I bring my entire team for a virtual symposium. It's a full day conference style of learning, from opening keynotes to midday keynotes to wrap up keynote end of the day, and having 15 plus breakout sessions throughout the day, going around for everyone to continue to learn and grow within the team itself. So these little things over time has literally brought people together and brought happiness to it. And people get up on Monday morning saying, yeah, I do want to go to work. I do want to make a difference in the lives of 240,000 students across 600 schools at Toronto District School Board.
There's so many great ideas there, but more importantly, you're putting those ideas into practice. And those will be incredibly helpful to your peers within the K to 12 sector, as well as outside of the education industry. Thank you once again, Peter. I really appreciate your time today and all your wonderful thoughts, ideas, and best practices.
Well, thank you very much for having me again. All the best to you and your team.
Thank you. You're watching another episode of Executive Insights. I'm Nasheen Liu with the IT Media Group. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please check out other content on our YouTube channel, including CIO Roundtable conversations, Leadership in Tech panel discussions, and executive interviews. And don't forget to subscribe.